Welcome back, and in this lesson we are going to be using jQuery in Codepen. So Codepen is an excellent option if you want to write and practice some coding online, also store your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript online. There's a number of different options. You don't have to sign up for an account in order to be able to use it, but it's always a good idea because if you do sign up for an account, the accounts are free. You can use free accounts. It's just your pens are going to be all public if you use free accounts. So there's option to also to make them private, and there's a small fee for that for using Codepen. But overall, it's an excellent resource, and I usually find using Codepen, I really enjoy using Codepen. I usually also change the layout. So the layout by default was at the top there, and I just moved it over to the side. So basically the idea is that you can create some HTML. So I'm going to give it an ID of output, and we can type something here, hello world, close off that div, and we get it showing up there. So we get it save and automatically saving and popping up within that display area. We can also do CSS. So open that CSS, and of course we can grab that element. So we can do color, and let's do color blue. So right away it turns it blue, and you can enter in a number of options. And now JavaScript. So JavaScript, you can type in an alert if you want and say something like hello, and as we see it's being written out, it's already doing those pop-ups, so it's doing the pop-up HE, which is kind of annoying, so I'm just going to remove that. But you get the point. You can write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and see it immediately within the display area. So to bring jQuery in, it's got a really easy way to bring jQuery in because it's got this quick add stuff here. So there's a number of different libraries here, so you can grab jQuery, save it, and it automatically brings the CDN in. So now you can actually start using jQuery. So let's grab that element. So we'll grab output. So hash output, and let's update the HTML to say, we'll just update to say hello. So there we go. So jQuery is up and running. And of course, you can also grab those hosted, those CDN libraries. So just as you were writing regular HTML, you can bring your jQuery in that way as well. So you don't have to hook it into the library, but of course, that's a whole lot neater. So that's usually the best way to go. So there we go. So we're ready to start writing jQuery. And the same thing that we did earlier where we can click on the, so have an element, make it clickable. So let's do that. So we're going to do output, and let's add the click function. So on click, it's going to fire off a function. And then within here, we can do something. So for now, we'll console log out works. So now whenever I click this, and we've got a little console here that we can see that when I click it, it's firing off works. So that's hooked up, ready and working. So we can now go on to our AJAX call. So we want, whenever this gets clicked, to fire off AJAX. And remember again, we had a number of parameters that we could add in here. So first we need to get a URL. So let's grab that. We'll use the same one that we used in the previous lesson, so URL. So we need to have our server information to connect and get our data. We can also do success. So this is a little bit different than what we did earlier. And also, I'm going to add in data type. And this time, because we know we're expecting JSON, so we might as well add it in there. So success, and from success here, we can actually do a function. Or we could have a separate method just for that one as well. So we could do something like success, and then go down here and do function. So do function of success, and for now, let's just console log out test. And then go into here, we can click it, open up our console, clear the console, and we can see now we're clicking it and we're firing off that function. We could also do the function up here, of course, but this just makes it a little bit neater. So now we need to decide what we want to do whenever we fire off the success. So we've got a bunch of information that actually gets passed here. So this is always getting passed here. We could pass all of these values here. So there's data that gets passed, there's status that gets passed, and there's XHR object that gets passed. So if we want to take a closer look at those, let me show you what is being passed in here. So console log, status, console log XHR. And now let's clear this out and we should get a bunch of information here. So there we go. So this is what is actually getting passed in here. So the first one, the data, is that entire object. So that's what we were using before. We were using data, and we see that it's an object. So we can grab data.body, data.id, data.title, data.userid. We can get that information. We've got status as well, so we can make sure that status was success before we try to do anything. And then that entire XHR object that you typically see with just JavaScript XHR requests, that you've got the request header information, you've got the state, status code, status text, and so on. So all of that can be included as well. So I just want to note that, but most of the time, of course, we only need that first parameter, so we only need that data in order to do something. So now we're ready to make some type of update. So let's make our selection of our element that we want to update. So let's grab output and HTML, and we can do something similar to what we did last time, where we can get all of that information, but for this time maybe let's just grab data title. So now when we click it, the title should change and it should update. So there we go. So we're all ready to make that connection and retrieve that information. And this is just another way to do the same thing that we did last time, but if you want to use Codepen. And of course, we did a slightly different because we did the success within the options. And then there's also, you can still add in and chain through done. So this one fires off. So this one's another function. And we'll just console log out that done. So you can see there is a difference between success and done, that when we fire that off, that success actually fires off first and then done. So you can keep that in mind, and you can chain a whole bunch of different ones here together as well. And as we saw, there's a lot of options when it comes to Ajax. So go ahead and try it out for yourself. If you've never used Codepen, you can go ahead and try that there, or you can simply take this same code and type it into your editor and run it within your machine as well. So go ahead, try this out. Next lesson, we're going to be looking at some shorthand methods for doing the exact same thing, but it's going to be a whole lot shorter and code-wise. So that's coming up.